Hello guys and welcome back. Today we are answering a very important question for every grade 9 learner, parents and teachers. Do the grade 9 KNEC projects actually count in the final results? The final KJSEA results. Now many learners are currently working on projects in areas such as agriculture, pre-technical studies and creative arts and sports, and they'll continue doing it every year. And some learners are taking the project seriously, but others are saying it is only a project, or the written examination is more important, or I can complete it quickly during the last week. You see, some parents are asking and they want to know whether these projects form part of the 20% of the SBA, or how the projects will be incorporated into KJSEA. Now this is what we are going to talk about in this video. Let us begin with the most important answer. Do the grade 9 project count? The answer is yes. The grade 9 KNEC projects are official parts of the KJSEA, Kenya Junior School Education Assessment. They should not be treated like ordinary homework, and they should also not be treated as optional activities that a learner can ignore, because KNEC officially lists grade 9 projects in the 3 learning areas. You see the 3 learning areas in creative arts and sports, pre-technical studies and agriculture. So the projects have official KJSEA paper codes. For example, the pre-technical studies project appears as a separate KJSEA paper, and this tells us that the project is part of the formal grade 9 assessment. It is not simply an activity that is created by an individual school. You see, the school actually receives the project instructions through the official KNEC system, and then the learner completes this required task. So the teacher is supposed to assess the learner according to the instructions provided. There is something we call a grading rubric. And what is a grading rubric? It is instructions on how the different works of learner should be graded. So when teachers are grading the project, they cannot favor one learner over the other. There is no favoritism when it comes to grading, because there is a grading rubric. It gives item by item on how the learner should be graded, and therefore the teacher is supposed to follow that rubric. Did the student do this? And then if they did it, there is that category of the marks they can be given. Then the next point, did the student do this? If they did it, there is that category. So these projects are graded very well by the teachers because of that rubric, and that rubric is provided by KNEC. And then once the grading is done, the score is then recorded and submitted through the KNEC competence-based assessment portal. You know, there is the CBA portal, and it has a connection between the school and KNEC, and that is where the results are submitted. Therefore, learners should understand that the marks earned in the project are important. So cooperate with the teachers. When you are doing the project, make sure that you cooperate with the teachers. That is very important. And we are going to look at how this project is relevant. How is it relevant to your performance? So is the project part of the 20% SBA? This is where many people become confused. In our previous video, we explained the 20-20-60 formula and how KJSEA contributes 20%, how the grade 7 SBAs contribute 20%, and how KJSEA contributes 60%. Now, some people are asking, where do the grade 9 project belong? So this is the answer. The grade 9 KNEC project should not be confused with the grade 7 and grade 8 SBA component. Why? Because the 20% SBA portion comes from the official school-based assessment completed during grade 7 and grade 8. But the grade 9 KNEC projects are part of the grade 9 KJSEA assessments. In simple terms, what we are saying is that the project is not a fourth section added to the formula. You see, so it is not, we have KJSEA, SBA and KJSEA. We do not have the projects again. The projects are within the KJSEA. I hope that is clear. The projects are within the KJSEA. Now, so in short, it is part of the KJSEA paper. It is like when you are doing your project, you have already started your KJSEA exam, because you are doing part of your KJSEA exam. So when we say that KJSEA contributes 60%, we should not think only about the written papers that the learners will complete towards the end of grade 9, because KJSEA includes the different official assessment papers provided to the provided in different learning areas. Some are written papers, others may be practical assessments, performance activities, or even projects. Now, how does a project affect the learner's performance? Let us use pre-technical studies as a simple example. Suppose a learner is required to design or to make an item. The learner may need to understand the instructions and then prepare a drawing sketch, take the measurements, select suitable tools and materials, and then follow the correct construction procedure until they finish making that project. You see, for example, there was one project which is about making a hexagonal pen holder. Before that project is complete, all these procedures must be followed. And in such a case, the exact areas assessed will depend on the instructions and marking guide, which I've told you the rubric. The rubric is the marking guide for the particular project. However, the main point is that the project allows the learner to demonstrate practical competence. Those projects are very important because they show how you can apply your knowledge, the knowledge you have gained practically. And then a written examination can ask a learner to name a tool. When you are writing a paper, you are just writing what you know. But a project can show whether the learner knows how to use that tool safely. And then also a written examination can ask the learner to explain how measurements are taken. But a project will show whether the learner can actually take the measurements correctly. Again, a written examination can ask about finishing techniques, but the project can show whether the learner can apply the appropriate finish to a real product. That is why the project is important under competency-based education. See, it assesses more than what the other learners can remember. It assesses what the learner can do also. Now, does KNEC only mark the final product? Learners should not assume that the final product is the only thing that matters. No. The exact marking areas are provided in the assessment instructions for each project. And depending on the project, assessments may consider the steps followed by the learner and not only the finished product. For example, a beautiful product may still have weaknesses if the learner did not follow the instructions, if the measurements were incorrect, or if the learner used tools unsafely. You see, because there is a project on making a hexagonal pen holder, and safety is one of the considerations. Also, when handling agricultural tools, safety is one of the considerations. For example, did you put on your gloves when you are doing the project? Did you have an overall if it is a serious task like in agriculture? If you are building a chicken coop, did you have on your overalls? Did you have on your mask? You see, all these are considerations made. So the grading is a lot dependent on what you did during the whole process. So by completing the grade 9 projects, the teachers are also able to assess the difference in abilities of the learners. It will help capture the abilities of the learner in terms of what they can do, how creative they are, how well they can do research, because how well you can use computers to research and maybe to submit your work through ICT, all that matters. How well were you able to incorporate all these things to submit a completed project. So the project contributes to the learner's performance and profile. It does contribute. Why? Because it is part of your KJSEA results. So the project contributes to the learner's performance in the relevant learning area. And the learner's performance across KJSEA learning areas is used to help show their strengths in the 3 senior school pathways. The pathways: STEM, social sciences, and arts and sports science. For example, a strong performance in practical and technical work may help demonstrate abilities connected to technical or to STEM related areas. And then a strong performance in creative activities may help demonstrate abilities connected to arts and sports science. However, one project alone does not automatically decide the learner's pathway or school. The learner's wider assessment profile is still considered. So the learner's interest, pathway choices, subject combinations, and available senior school spaces also do matter a lot when it comes to the choices that you can make. So to sum up, do grade 9 NEC projects count in the final KJSEA results? Yes. The projects are official KJSEA assessment papers, and the official project learning areas include creative arts and sports, pre-technical studies, and agriculture. The grade 9 projects are not the same as the grade 7 and grade 8 SBAs component because those contribute to 20%. And the projects, however, do form part of the grade 9 KJSEA assessment within their respective learning areas. So it is very, very important for every learner to take their projects very seriously. The project should not be ignored because they are going to contribute to the 60% that KJSEA is contributing to. Also remember this, that a project is not only about producing something beautiful, it is also about demonstrating knowledge, skills, creativity, accuracy, responsibility and even the ability to complete a real life task, you see, because you need to know, you need to be able to use what you are learning to do real life tasks or come up with real life examples. If this video helped you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with grade 9 learner, parent or teacher or a guardian who may benefit. Also do leave a comment below. I would love to know which other video would you love us to address or what else would you like us to address. Thank you so much for watching. Keep learning and be blessed. Bye.